8 killers is still free. One of them might be riding the same subway as you right now. Case 1. Kim Hyung-won, the Pattaya Barrel. May 2023, a South Korean man travels to Pattaya, Thailand, one of the most visited beach destinations in all of Southeast. He's just a tourist. Sun, ocean, the usual. His family back home expect photos, maybe a souvenir. Instead, they start getting phone calls, ransom demands. The voice on the other end knows details about him that strangers shouldn't know. Then the calls stop completely, just silence. Thai police divers were called in. They searched a reservoir outside Pattaya. What they pulled from the bottom was a black plastic barrel, sealed, heavy and filled with semen. Inside was the tourist. His killers had concealed him where they were certain no one would ever look. 3 South Korean nationals were identified almost immediately. The investigation moved fast. 1 suspect was arrested in Korea. A second was caught in Vietnam after a cross-border chase. The third man, Kim Hyung-won, vanished. Authorities believe he crossed into Myanmar, a region known for ungoverned zones, criminal networks, and no extradition. He's armed, considered extremely dangerous, and as of now he's the most actively hunted Korean fugitive in Southeast Asia. This is not a cold case. The investigation is live, the manhunt is ongoing, and Kim Hyung-won is still out there. Case 2. Hwang Ju-yeon, the terminal killer. June 2010, the Central City bus terminal in Gangnam, Seoul, one of the busiest transit hubs in the country. On any given day, thousands of people flow through, commuters, families, strangers, all of them absorbed in their own worlds. Hwang Ju-yeon called his ex-wife that morning. He said it was about their daughter. He needed to talk. She didn't hesitate. She came. She brought her new boyfriend. They had no reason to be afraid. This was a public place. Nothing could happen here. Hwang had no intention of talking. In front of screaming witnesses, he attacked both of them. The boyfriend fought back, barely survived. His ex-wife died at the scene. And then, Hwang Ju-yeon did something that defies every instinct. He didn't run. He walked, slowly, deliberately. He merged into the crowd of thousands and was gone. That was 15 years ago. There's a 50 million won reward on his head. His face has been broadcast across every major media outlet in Korea. Hwang is 6 feet tall, heavily built, trained in Muay Thai. He has a distinctively twisted jaw and cauliflower ears from years of fighting. You would remember him if you passed him on the street. Police believe he never left South Korea. He's not hiding in another country. He's somewhere in the same cities, the same streets, the same subway lines, hiding in plain sight for 15 years, and nobody has collected that reward. Case 3. Park Jong-yoon, the loan shark hunter. 2005, Park Jong-yoon is deep in gambling debt, the kind of debt that doesn't negotiate. He owes money to a local loan shark, the type of person who sends a bodyguard to every meeting just to make a point. Most people in that position beg, borrow, or disappear. Park came up with a different solution, one that would make the debt and the people collecting it simply stop existing. He and an accomplice went after the loan shark and his bodyguard. Both men vanished. Their remains weren't found for 2 full years, buried in shallow graves in a location that thought no one would ever search. They were almost right. 2 years where Park Jong-yoon had a complete head start. His accomplice eventually slipped up, got caught, and served time. Park never did. Park Jong-yoon has a bow-legged walk that is immediately noticeable. He speaks with a heavy Chola province accent. These are not subtle details. Anyone who spends 5 minutes near him would pick them up. And yet, for nearly 20 years, nobody has turned him in. A double homicide suspect, 50 million won reward, 19 years. Still free. His accomplice did the time. Park Jong-yoon is doing whatever he wants. Case 4. Choi Yong-bae, the neighbor's confession. 2009, Choi Yong-bae is not a career criminal. He's an ordinary man, neighbor, family member, the kind of person nobody suspects. He co-signed a massive loan for the woman next door, Mrs. Park, a gesture of trust, a serious mistake. She wasn't paying it back. The debt mounted, months passed. The pressure between them became unbearable. And one night in June, it didn't end with a confrontation. It ended with her death. What Choi did next is the part that makes this case impossible to forget. Instead of running, instead of packing a bag, whipping down the apartment, doing anything a rational person would do, he went to a bar. He ordered soju. He sat down with a friend. And then, over a drink, he told that friend exactly what he had just done, casually, as if he was describing his day. Then he stood up, walked out, and disappeared. More than 15 years later, Choi Yong-bae has not been found. He is an average height, wears glasses, has a Chungcheon accent. He looks like everyone. He could be anyone. Korean investigators have spent 15 years asking the same question. How does an ordinary man with no criminal training, no criminal network, no survival skills, someone who told his friend what he did over drinks, vanish completely? There is no good answer. And that is the most unsettling part of this entire case. Case 5. Song Chi-young, the septic tank mystery. 2007. Song Chi-young is a truck driver with a serious gambling problem and a debt he can't pay. His associate, Kwang-hoon, is the one holding that debt. One day, Kwang-hoon simply stops existing. No calls, no message, no trace. The very next morning, Song Chi-young files for bankruptcy and disappears. It is not a coincidence, it's a plan. For 5 years, nobody knew what happened to Kwang-hoon. Then, during routine maintenance of a septic tank, workers discovered the body. The investigation traced everything back to Song Chi-young, the debt, the motive, the timing. He's the prime suspect in what investigators believe was a premeditated act designed to make a debt disappear permanently. But Song was already gone, and the longer investigators looked, the stranger the disappearance became. Song Chi-young has Behçet's disease, a rare chronic autoimmune condition that causes systemic inflammation throughout the body. Without regular treatment, it is debilitating. Without consistent medication and medical supervision, it becomes life-threatening. You cannot manage Behçet's disease off the grid. You cannot treat it with home remedies. You need doctors, you need prescriptions, you need a supply chain of medication that leaves records, which means someone right now, today, knows exactly where Song Chi-young is. Someone is helping him. Someone is keeping him alive and hidden. He has been off the grid for 17 years. That is not luck or skill. That is a network of people actively protecting a suspect, and investigators still don't know who they are. Case 6. The Gapyeong Village Head Killer. For this case, we leave Seoul behind. We leave Gangnam, the subway, the neon lights. We go to Gagyeong, a small tight-knit village in the mountains of Gapyeong County, the kind of place where families have lived next to each other for generations, where the village head knows every household by name. This familiarity is normally a form of safety. In small communities, strangers stand out. Crime feels impossible when everyone is watching. But what happens when the threat isn't stranger? The village head was found dead under violent circumstances. A prime suspect was identified quickly. Not an outsider, but someone from within the community. Someone who knew the village layout, the routines, the blind spots. Someone who knew exactly which direction to run. Police moved to arrest him, but he was already gone. Not across a border. Not into a city, not into the anonymity of million-person metropolis. He went into the mountains, dense, rugged terrain that he has known his entire life. As of mid-2025, he has not been found. The mountains are actively being searched, but the locals know something investigators are reluctant to admit. This man grew up in those mountains. He knows every trail, every cave, every creek that doesn't appear on maps. The silence of rural Korea, which once felt like peace, now feels like something entirely different. A killer is somewhere in these woods, and every door in that village that used to be left open isn't anymore. 8 men, 8 crimes, all of them still free. One killed in a crowded terminal and dissolved into the crowd. One is protected by a government. One is being kept alive by people who will never come forward. One broke out of detention after he was already caught. And one is hiding in mountains he knows better than the people searching for them. South Korea is one of the safest countries on the earth, and it still has a list like this. So here's what I want to know. Which of these cases actually gets under your skin the most? For me, it's Song Chi-young, the man with Behçet's disease who physically cannot survive without medication treatment and has been doing it for 17 years. That means someone out there knows. Someone is choosing to stay silent. Drop your theory in the comments. I read every one of them. If this investigation was worth your time, hit subscribe. We go deep on cases like this every week. Stay sharp, stay safe. I'll see you in the next one.